Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Thunderstorm Podcast. This time around, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about downloadable-only games and the things that come with those. It's a pretty controversial topic, and if you have any thoughts on it, maybe leave a comment. I'm Rin, and with me is Kaznarius.
The man in the box.
Sliv.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Sliv's Downloadable Content ASMR session.
And the pork chopper.
Hi.
And let's just get right into it. I think downloadable games is a pretty interesting topic, and hopefully something that'll be a little bit deeper than just what it seems on the surface, because I know that there are some people that really like, especially on certain consoles, they'll swear by having a lot of their library digitally compared to having physical media. What's your guys' stances on downloadable games in general? If you have the choice between a full retail release, like you buy the physical game, or you could just get the game instantly digitally anyway, what do you guys prefer to do?
I believe the people who think that digital-only games should be lobotomized because they're very, very wrong, and that's my opinion.
Well, to follow with that up, I'll accept my lobotomy, and I'll say that it depends on the system, for sure. On my 3DS, I absolutely love loading that thing up and having a giant wall of games looking at me, because it's inherently a portable console, so I like having a lot of games on the go. There's a lot of really small, like $7 games on there, and I think portable gaming for sure is like my go-to for that. When it comes to consoles, yeah, I do like to own physical generally, because when you get into downloadable games, it ends up being like a 54 gigabyte up download at points. Like it gets insane. Thanks Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone. Every fucking game is a 6 million gigabyte fucking download. God damn it.
What's that? 50 gigabyte day one patch?
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Like, I'd say PC's the only appropriate place to say, yeah, it's okay that a lot of your library, if not most or all of your library, is digital, but if you're playing on a console, it has to be physical. It's the trade-off on choosing your platform, right? Because what computers nowadays are even being equipped with a disk drive, and what games are actually even being released physically on PC?
I think that's kind of the bigger fish to fry when it comes to PC gaming, that there just isn't, like, unless it's some special release of a game that already came out on physical media like 20 years ago or something, you're not really getting a whole lot of new computer media coming out.
Like, where is my big box version of Deep Rock Galactic? I want a big box version of Deep Rock Galactic.
Here's the thing, I actually have some big box PC games, and it's really cool to like pick them up, but they take up way too goddamn much space.
Oh god,
I swear to God.
They do. Like, they're so huge, and inside it's just like a little slip with the activation code, and your jewel case with like Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, and I think currently the issue becomes that it doesn't make feasible sense to have, with a PC release, to have the game in a jewel case. Just because some of them get so big, like you were saying. Sadly, like, that's how PC gaming's gone. You have less and less people even having a disk drive, like you said. And I think that kind of sucks in some ways, because I like having extra functionality. For God's sake, my laptop has freaking FireWire ports on it. I like having the option if I want to, but at the same time, like, if there's nothing coming out for it, it kind of makes sense why you wouldn't have that anymore on a computer.
Pork Chopper, will you be downloading games on your PS4 and receiving your free lobotomy? Just curious.
Most of my games are digital on my consoles, so yes.
Somebody get my
grabs the scalpel. Yeah.
Do you have like a real reason behind it, or is it just convenience, or
Two reasons. Number one is obviously for me it's convenience because I usually have really fast internet, so I can download games like basically faster than I could drive to a store anyway. The other thing is more just because of with the advent of day one updates that are usually required in order to be able to play a game, having the physical disc doesn't actually mean anything because once that update's gone, you can't download it anymore and you can't play the game to begin with. So it's a paperweight anyway.
I think that's actually like a huge problem with games right now is like
Absolutely.
it is the disc is getting printed before the game's done. And it's just that's how it is now. Like every single game that comes out that's like a major release, it's not finished when you pick it up at the store. Sometimes you need to basically download the entire game and the disc's just operating as a freaking security check.
That's basically every AAA game these days. You're basically re-downloading the entire game on day one. Like it's
yeah, it's pretty frustrating because like, hey, because this is going to be an issue we probably talk a lot about in this podcast. Digital only games, they have a shelf life, and that shelf life can be anything.
Yeah.
The developers can decide in 2 months, hey, we're not offering this anymore. It's gone now. And you're stuck with, unless you have it downloaded, you're SOL.
Yeah, I mean, look at PT.
Yeah.
You can't re-download it. It's just not.
Yeah, it's totally lost.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was a patch for PT that was put out sometime in this past year, 2021, that made it so that even if you had it downloaded, it won't launch anymore.
So I did hear about that, and I've seen some people post that happened to them. I have the game on my PS4, and it never updated, so I don't know if I'm lucky or something, but mine's still playable.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Maybe I'm gonna have to come down to your place and play PT one of these days.
Sure.
Now you need to list it on eBay for $2,000 starting bid.
Okay.
It's now a collector's item.
Hey, you'll be able to get a PS5. Now, is you having PT worth selling it for a PS5 though?
I actually played PT and I didn't really think it was that cool to begin with, so I don't know why people spend that much money.
People really just want to go after that sweet Kojima ass, I guess.
Well, I think part of it is inaccessibility builds a legend. I know that this is slightly off topic, but back when I was younger, I remember everyone screaming up and down that Sonic CD was like the greatest game in the series because it was stuck on the Sega CD and like a 1995 PC release that didn't run on modern systems even then. Sonic CD is the best game in the series. It's amazing and you're never going to get to play it. And then it became super available and now that opinion's changed a little bit. I think that to an extent, the legend kind of builds the reputation for the game in some cases. I'm not sure when it comes to PT because I'm not personally a horror game guy, but
I mean, there's a lot to PT, like right, like it's not even really a complete game. It's just I think
teaser, right?
Yeah, wow, yeah. Is that what fucking literally what the PT stands for? Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. Playable teaser turned into personal treasure.
Playable teasered cruiser.
You know, it's when I think of that game, it's all the stories of this community coming together to find how to even fucking play this game. That I think definitely adds to the value of that game as a whole. You know?
I think context surrounding it also adds to it a bit. Because like the whole thing was the game that never was, Kojima on the out and out already with Konami. This comes out, Kojima's gone. I think either right around when this came out or right after. Like, it's such almost like a time capsule of that sort of time period where Konami was clearly shifting its views and what it valued as a company. What Kojima was doing before he'd go off and do his own thing, and now he has his own company and everything. And I think that also adds sort of to that legend of this game that never came out that you could technically play. It's really interesting.
I will say from all the gameplay I've seen and all the playthroughs I've seen, like I do think it is incredibly overrated for what it is. Definitely very cool. Definitely incredibly obtuse and interesting to see how you solve the puzzles in the game. But overall, the legend certainly lives longer than the actual game itself.
Well, it's more about what PT promised, right? It was a teaser for what was going to then be Silent Hills, the first Silent Hill game in, a whole console generation?
Yeah.
And it was running on Fox Engine. Fox Engine, what had we seen that in at that point? MGS5 and PES Soccer? Now that's fucking Fox Engine's legacy, is PES Soccer and PT.
Here's the thing, on the flip side of that, where you have a game that, was clearly never completed and got lost digitally, sadly, just to the outskirts of time. There are other games that they exist still. You can still play these games, but their best versions are the digital releases that you can no longer get. I have two examples just off the top of my head. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Heritage to the Future, which had its best version. It was an HD cleanup job of that game, and it was on PS3, and it got pulled because of copyright. So now the best version is the Dreamcast version, I believe. It's still good, but it's it's not. It doesn't have all the little goody nuggets and the beautiful HD beautiful HD sprite graphics and all that stuff. And then you have the Simpsons Arcade game,
yep,
which got a digital release that got pulled very quickly, if I remember correctly. It wasn't around for very long, and that was to my understanding, the only home console release of that game ever. And it hasn't been brought back since, which means that now, unless you bought it and you have it on a PS3, or I think it was also on 360, I could be wrong, you have to go find the arcade machine. And as time goes on, that's going to be harder and harder to do.
And more expensive.
Now, question. We've shat on Nintendo for having their Disney Vault of video games. But would you consider the Simpsons Arcade game to now be inside the Disney Vault of Disney? Considering
to an
Fox is
extent.
owned by Disney?
To an extent. I mean, there are other games that would be technically in the quote-unquote Disney Vault now. Deadpool gets pulled so often it friggin' could give Deadpool abandonment issues.
That is true. Yes, I remember that.
How many times has it been pulled now? 3 times? 4 times?
I think
Every time...
3 times, yeah.
Every time I friggin' sneeze, Deadpool's either back or going away again. I'm like, oh my god.
Dude, Alan Wake was like that too. It got pulled multiple times. And then now it's getting a fucking remaster anyway.
Wait, why did Alan Wake get pulled?
I don't know.
It's an OG story. Unless it's, based on, something.
It's possible. I remember hearing something about copyright music in relation to it. I could be wrong on that, though. I might be thinking of another game.
Maybe. I mean, that's what happens with Forza. Every Forza game, be it the Motorsports ones or Horizon, they get delisted, I think, after, is it 4 years? Forza 7 is right about to get delisted this month.
I almost believe, it's at the point now where once the successor to it comes out, it's gone. The previous one's just gone. Because I heard that Horizon 4 is going to be on the way out soon.
Yeah, that'll be next year. In the case of Horizon, it's because car manufacturers won't give them indefinite licensing for their game. They only do it on a 4-year basis. So once the license runs out, they have to delist the game. They're not legally allowed to sell it anymore. Yeah, and the thing is that eventually, sure, right now you can download the game if you already owned it or whatever.
even if you could still download if the game got delisted, after the game gets delisted, how long is that going to stick around for? Like, at any point, Microsoft could just be like, yeah, you know what? We've left it around for an extra 2 years, and for whatever reason, like, car manufacturer has decided, yeah, no, I don't want to let even people that already, like, bought it way before get it because you're technically violating our copyright, and make it really difficult. And then all of a sudden, now you can't get this game, and it's just abandonware and essentially lost media unless someone finds a way to preserve it.
Yeah, that's true.
You guys want to talk about fucking licensing issues? I remember sitting down last year with you assholes, and everyone saying the Scott Pilgrim game is fucking dead forever.
Listen,
and here I am,
it was true.
Looking to the left, and I see a fucking copy of that on my shelf for the Switch. Good ending achieved, but, like, there was also no fucking reason for that to happen. Well, the reason was licensing issues. But, you know, thank God there was a demand for it.
I love
for
being
me,
proven wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as much as that property is surrounded in cringe for me on a personal level in my high school years, I do appreciate being able to have this rather than having to boot up my old PS3. If I may go into a personal tangent, this is a real ass story. Scott Pilgrim, the game, like, low-key cured, like, a younger me of homophobia. I don't know if we can leave this in, but, like...
What?
Whoa!
Okay. So I came from, like, a family that, like, legitimately did not want to see me grow up as a gay person. Like, Mom discouraged me the second I started liking the color pink, and, you know, all the kids at school were telling fun gay jokes. I'm like, ew, two men together? That's gross. I don't like that, because everything is gay. Gay equals bad. Then I played this game, and I'm like, man, that Stills character, he's pretty cool. I like Stills. He's got a big punch, and he kicks the shit out of everyone. And then, like, I read the graphic novel after I played this game. I'm like, oh, Stills is gay.
Wait, excuse me? Stills is gay?
Stills is gay at the end of Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
And
wait, I thought Wallace was the only representation.
No. No, I think low-key Stills dates Wallace, but the point is, at that point in my, I guess, younger years, I was legitimately forced to ask myself, man, this character I find really cool is also gay. And I now have to, like, question whether or not I think that's alright. And, yeah. I don't know if that's staying in, but...
Surprise.
I'm dead ass serious. Like, that game, dead ass, like, actually fucking changed
your life.
My homophobia. And that's... I don't even know what... That's also, like, one of the cringiest fucking stories I think I've ever told, ever.
I mean, that is kind of cool, though. Like, I'm sure that it's definitely not something that the developers of the game had in mind, but hey,
no shit.
You know what? Hey, this game... yeah, freaking just explaining the obvious. It is kind of cool, though, that, you know, you were able to grow from this game that almost was lost forever.
Yeah. Anyway, Scott Pilgrim, it sucks dick. It's pretty gay, but it's also pretty cool. And I'm a huge fan. So, next game, I guess. LOL.
So, I know you guys are aware of this. Let's talk about Nintendo's Virtual Console for a hot minute.
Oh, okay.
Which one?
Yeah,
Well,
actually.
So
Probably
we
the
can
one
start
that's
off.
the virtual console that doesn't exist anymore.
The Wii Virtual Console is gone forever as we knew it.
Super Mario RPG.
Can I get an F in chat for
F in the comments for
Sonic the Hedgehog, Donkey Kong.
no Wii Shop channel. And the thing that really bites about it is that Nintendo has seemingly tried to recapture the glory of the original Virtual Console, and they can't do it. I don't know what the problem is. Like, they want to charge more money for these games that, the freaking NES games in some cases, it's like, oh my god. Or now a lot of it's tied to the online service, which is a digital only thing. You can't even download them, so like once that's gone as a service,
So long,
goodbye.
Gabe Bowser.
So long, all of it.
Yeah, and I mean it's only NES and SNES. And well, I guess they're doing Game Boy now apparently, but
Whereas the Wii Virtual Console, it had N64 games. You had all the WiiWare stuff, and some of that's just lost forever now. There's no way to legitimately or even illegitimately in some cases play these games. They're just, unless you have a Wii with it downloaded, you're completely SOL. So, like, a lot of the bigger titles have definitely been preserved, but I'm sure there's plenty of small stuff that people just neglected to download, or that just got lost in the shuffle, and I'm sure now quite a few games are going to be considered lost media.
yeah.
Man, the Wii Virtual Console was actually how I discovered I was gay. No, how I discovered my favorite Sega Genesis game of all time, Gunstar Heroes. That game is fucking spectacular. Rin, have you ever fucking played this game?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
God, so good. Just wonderful classic side-scrolling, amazing co-op abilities that you can just fucking... So, and the reason I was reminded of this game was just because I realized that there was one version of this game that is download only, which is the 3D version of that game for the Nintendo 3DS, which is like also sort of goes into the point of like them weirdly trying to recreate this Virtual Console but failing. It's like they, instead of just giving us NES and SNES games or whatever, it's like, no, we have to give it to you. We have to give you the special 3D treatment on the 3DS, which I guess makes sense, but also, like, man, even as a kid, that gimmick wore out fast.
Or if you want to talk about portable Nintendo consoles, Nintendo just, like, dropped the ability to download DSi eShop games with, like, no warning. There was no chance for people to prepare, and they're like, I talk about the WiiWare games that might be lost. Like, there's definitely DSi games that are just gone now. There's no way. There's no way they could have all been preserved unless, people had already planned for that. And there's a chance, but like, sadly, it's almost seen as like, oh yeah, if we say there's going to be an end of service for these games, more people are going to try and download it and try and like get it in other ways potentially, so we're just not going to tell anyone. And that's really dumb. Because like video games are considered an art form, and there are so many games that are just, we talk like when you hear about film and like how many early films are just lost forever. I think it's like 10% of the films made before 1920 are all that remains or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a super low percentage.
Crazy.
And we run the risk of that happening with games, especially as we move more digitally, because who knows when a copyright dispute's going to suddenly pull a game, or if it's a game that never got brought up to the newest hardware, that the servers could go down for the older hardware because it costs money to keep them running. If you're not making money on it anymore, why keep them running anymore? In the case of the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation Vita, like, there was a scare with that already where, hey, if we lose the ability to download, it's not even like we can just keep the console running forever, because eventually the internal battery is going to die, and when that dies, the console will no longer be able to validate off of the PlayStation, off of Sony servers, that you own the games digitally.
Yeah.
So there you go. You can't play those anymore. They're just gone. That money you spent on those games means nothing. It's pissing in the wind.
Ren, are you sad that there will never be another time that you'll be able to play Witch and Hero?
Dude, it's a tragedy. I love Witch and Hero.
Yeah, that game was fucking sick. It's also definitely trapped on the 3DS.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's such a big thing. Or I remember back when the Xbox 360 was around, when indie games were just starting to be a thing. Or, you know what I mean, like starting to hit mainstream. They had a part of the marketplace just for that, with games that were made in XNA. A lot of those games, I believe, are just lost now. And because they were all like small, bite-sized, like one guy working for a couple hours on something stupid, kind of 99-cent nuggets of gameplay, a lot of those games, like, I'm sure most people looked at those and went, it doesn't really matter, but it is still a part of the history of games, you know? And there was some good stuff on there that I kind of miss.
I'm guessing I made a game with zombies in it did not survive the purge.
I don't believe it did. I don't think there's currently a way to get that game.
Pour one out.
And that game was great. Or I really liked a really stupid game called Agent Moo Maximum Overdeath. Can't get that
I remember
anymore.
your review on that.
Lost to time.
Lost time. Both that game and your review.
Yeah. Speaking of lost media.
Sliv, you were saying?
Yeah, I was gonna mention Agent Moo, Maximum Moo.
And the thing is, like, it's not even just something that's happened with the advent of, like, modern internet and stuff and, like, purely digital marketplaces. We can go back to the early 90s and find examples of this, where companies were doing the same things they're doing now,
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt you now for a second, Ren, but I just found out that for some reason they also released Agent Moo for Windows Phone 7.
It might be just a side effect of being on Xbox Live.
Yeah, it might. It's kind of weird.
But if it is playable on any kind of PC, I would love to play it again. I would run a server for that. You know, I would like set it up and make a like Agent Moo LAN party. Pretty sure you don't need exactly like killer specs to run a 2D flash art looking game where you kill people with sacks of oranges. I miss that game.
I know this is a bit of a different way of looking at it, but I've had a bit of an epiphany on gacha games, and like because they are, first of all, they are digital only. Obviously, nobody's going to EB Games and being like, "Hey, bro, one copy of Genshin Impact, please."
Okay, let's be real here.
Some mom has
asked,
grandma has asked for it.
Version at some point.
You know, maybe. I don't know. I don't care. Whatever. But seeing the servers close on like a game like Final Fantasy Mobius, that was a Square Enix gacha game, and like looking at that subreddit and seeing all the people be like, man, all that time and money gone after like 4 fucking years. There is something legitimately heartbreaking about that. Like, thinking about how much, like, everyone here is like played a gacha game. But like, think about that, like a shit ton of time you spent playing a gacha game, and imagine that next week the guys at the company being like, by the way, we have to shit can this. It's gone forever. Bye-bye. Yeah,
and like at that point, what do you do? Like,
it is it is something to really think about when you sink a lot of time in a game. And I know every game has to go. I understand that, of course. We love Final Fantasy XIV, but there will come a day that it will die. Oh, man.
Yeah, but Kaz, at least you're not me. I just went through my payment history on my Play Store. And I underestimated how much money I've spent on gacha games back when I was a gacha boy, prior to 2018. Looking at it, I probably spent close to like 800 on Dokkan Battle.
Oh my god!
Damn!
Yeah, worst decision of my life.
Well,
honestly,
technically,
in that case, it's good if they shut the fucking game down because
technically, series of decisions. But you know that goes with my point, though. It's with those games, it's like you either commit a lot of time or a lot of money. That's inevitable. With MMOs and stuff like FF14 and WoW, it's not just time and money. It's a community. It's the people you meet. It's the players you play with, and it's usually got a genuinely good story or combat system that those will be the memories that you remember fondly. You know, my best memories of Opera Omnia for the 3 years I fucking played it are going to be, what was that fucking sticker, Pork Chopper? I owe you one?
Yeah,
I owe you one, where some guy just fucks up and the boat and everyone else just spams the sticker. Great job, I owe you one. And then we all wipe. Like, it's the community moments that stick with you, but just thinking, again, thinking about Final Fantasy Mobius, if that were my game and it closed down, I would, I think I'd have to seriously reconsider every single time I thought about downloading a gacha game, because it's like Thanos snap, except you're all dead. Bye-bye.
And here's the thing, like, you mentioned games like FF14 and whatnot.
Yeah.
Even when those games go away officially eventually, in those cases, luckily, for the most part, you can run fan servers. It's always a case-to-case basis. There are some games, like, I know NCSoft games are very bad for that. Like, a lot of the stuff is just on their end, and it makes it very hard to do a fan server, but for the most part, you'd be able to run your own thing. There are plenty of, like, custom WoW servers that are running old versions or whatever. The thing with a gacha game is, if someone makes a fan version of it, obviously it's not going to have all the, like, transactions or, like, the grind or anything. In some cases, it might just give you everything right off the hop, and at that point, sadly, with with a lot of them, what's the point?
Yeah.
Because you're not technically making any progress at that point. You just kind of have everything. Like, a game like Genshin might be able to stand on its own still, but a lot of them where you're kind of, even if it's predatory, you're trying to build up to be able to get your next dopamine hit or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, that'll be gone. Like, because no one in their right mind is going to leave the gacha system as it was. It's really tricky. Yeah, mobile games in general are really bad for it, because I think you mentioned it in your most recent video.
Yep.
At any point, that it's just gone. An iOS update, an Android update, all of a sudden the game doesn't work, and it might never get fixed.
You could go through the pain in the ass of fucking, re-downloading and setting your iPhone to a different setting, or a different iOS.
Now you're sacrificing security and stability potentially for a game.
For what? A $20 game? Like, who would do that?
Yeah, it's really rough, and sadly, like, I'm sure there are actually decent mobile games that are just lost to time, and no one cared because it was just a mobile game. Who gives a shit?
There was a port of Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, which was like the one from the PSP, I believe, PSP one came out in like 2004. I was playing they poured it like 4 years after that, and like 10 years after that port came out, I decided to play that game. Somehow it still fucking ran, and even weirder, somehow I still found people playing it online, which was like one of the fucking weirdest mobile experiences I think I've ever fucking had. I don't know why you'd want to play that game, but then again, I beat it on the iPad, so like, I guess I don't really know myself. I was just kind of curious, and I didn't have a PSP at the time. Actually, yeah, it was convenience. Now I think about it.
And here's the thing. We're talking about how like mobile games are lost, how console games eventually get lost potentially.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving into a world where, whether we entirely like it or not, games as a service is going to be a big deal for a lot of people at a point.
Oh yeah.
And sure, Stadia is a joke, and like GeForce Now is only like okay to my understanding. I think Sony has their thing for playing PS3 games that I can't remember the name of right now. It's like PlayStation Now or something.
Yeah, have you guys even heard anything come out of Amazon Luna? Because I haven't.
Wow, there's Luna. Now, what happens when a game is exclusive to one of those, and all of a sudden it has a copyright problem and it gets pulled?
I was gonna say, Xbox Game Pass is definitely pushing that, though.
Yeah. With
every time I see new games announced for that, it's like, yep, it's coming out.
I know
Day
that
one on Game Pass. Like,
but I know that with Game Pass, you're still downloading the game to your console, and I believe like as long as you have Game Pass, you're still allowed to access that game. With GeForce Now and stuff, it's all accessed like from the cloud. It's being pulled from one of their servers and getting streamed to your device, and that's great if you know you're running like extremely low power hardware. You're able to play games you wouldn't ordinarily be able to play. It's never the ideal way to do it, but some people, that's their only option. I'm concerned that we're going to see games that have their entire lives just be on a digital-only streaming platform, and then it goes away, and unlike a movie, like a Netflix exclusive, if that gets pulled, you can still find that. Maybe it has had a physical release, maybe, you know, it had a, you know, someone, you wouldn't download a car. But with a digital, like a streaming only game, it's just gone. Unless someone leaks it, it's gone forever. There's no way to preserve that.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest tragedies. And like I was trying to say earlier, like we already have examples where that's happened in the past. There was, back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was in Japan online services where you went to a kiosk and you would download games to a cartridge, and it would be either a timed version of a game, or in some cases there would be special broadcasts of games, including expansions for games like Link to the Past, with like live audio with that.
That's pretty
cool. And that's really cool. Never been re-released, never been released physically in any capacity, never been made available publicly. And those in their proper form are just gone. Some people have managed to find like cartridges with the game itself, but like the live audio for it and everything is just lost in a lot of cases. You can't have the true experience of what that was supposed to be without that. So now it's an incomplete experience. You're having a nerfed experience of what was envisioned.
There's 3 missing Zelda games because of that. Because they were streamed twice ever over Satellaview. And it was like in a 2-week period.
Yeah, it was Link in the Faces of Evil, Wand of Gamelon, and
Zelda the Adventure.
Exactly.
God, yeah. I wish that was the case.
Like, high key, I would really, really like to play Zelda 1 on Link to the Past's engine with live commentary from like Miyamoto himself or whoever it was.
Yeah, but like that's something that will just never get in its original format. Even if like they do something for the anniversary or something where it's like, oh yeah, you can play this this unreleased thing, never released in America, never released physically thing, it's not going to be the real version anymore unless they have an audio recording of that live broadcast.
That's true, yeah.
So, like, there are experiences that are just gone now. And, like, that was in the earlier days of gaming. And here we are now, we're in a position where that could just be, like, every game. Depending on how things go, you know?
Yeah, I do feel like it's a little bit of a slippery slope, but I also do kind of see it.
It is definitely a worst
possible.
case Ontario situation.
Yeah, it's definitely worst case, but there's a chance we could go down that path. There are, because we have the pieces exist.
No matter how convenient it is for people, and I understand why it's convenient for them, I really want games as a service to fall flat on its face and not resurge in the next decade. But that's highly doubtful.
Honestly, man, every fucking time I've tried to stream a game, it has gone to shit. I don't know why. Every time I tried PS Now, or in the Switch's case, they have that streamable Control. You can play Control, and you can stream it to your Switch, and the demo ran like ass. For me, it's just not there yet, but I'm sure that technology is continuously improving to get there.
We just we don't really have the infrastructure and the fees yet to make it feasible. Like, I've tried xCloud and it's pretty close, but I'm also on, like, you know, much better internet than the average person.
Also, like, it also depends game to game so much. There are, like, if you were trying to play a fighting game over a streaming service, you got another thing coming, because you're not going to be able to play properly. That's all there is to it. Anything that requires, like, split-second reactions, you cannot do when you have a latency inherent. No matter how good your internet is, you're going to have latency beyond what your monitor is, what your controller can do. Like, you have so many layers of latency now, you're going to get thrown off. Especially if you've played it, like, let's say you play Dragon Ball FighterZ, and you play it, like, on a console, and then you play it streamed from, like, GeForce Now on your PC or whatever. It's going to be a totally different experience, and it'll it's just not the same. I guess I'm kind of...
Hey, you guys want to hear a joke?
Sure.
Fighting games on Stadia.
You just had to say Stadia, my man.
Sorry, yeah, Stadia.
You can actually test out what that would feel like. Just play Street Fighter V online with their fucking dog shit netcode. That's basically like if you were streaming the game.
Bro, I think I could run Street Fighter V better on an Ouya.
Yeah.
Man, all those great Ouya games lost to time.
What a shame. On Android 2.2 or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's a podcast for another time.
Yeah, I look forward to ripping apart the Stadia in detail one day.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Okay. I want to talk about a game that, you know, it might go away someday, but for now, I want to love it as much as I can. I want to hold it close to me, and I want to pat it on its head and tell it it's all right, and that's gonna be fine, kiddo. Just look at the flowers. I'm talking about Astro Bears.
Oh,
Astro
man.
Bears.
Oh, no, yeah.
Oh, like a $1. I think we all bought it for like $1, basically.
Yeah. And then we got given the upgrade for free.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They gave us the free upgrade.
Wonderful game. Every time we play it at a party, it's a great time. It is so simple. I do love the simplicity of it. Like, it's just 3D Snake, basically.
But multiplayer.
And it's chaotic. It's great. Fuck, play Astro Bears.
Yeah. Here's the thing on top of it is, like, that is a game that, like, if people were like, oh man, the Switch Online is going to go away. Like, the Switch shop's going away, and we're going to lose everything. Oh, we only have time to save certain games. Astro Bears would definitely get lumped in with like, oh yeah, it's just some of the trash that ended up on the eShop, whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Oh yeah.
And like, that's a risk that legitimately exists for like legitimately good games, where it's like not enough people played it, or it's $1, so it must be bad, and then it just becomes lost media.
Seriously underrated game. I'm dead ass serious. Anyone who's watching this, go look it up. I guarantee you will have a great time with 4 buddies. Well,
yeah, and
3
like
buddies.
and like for a buck, like you could do a lot worse on the Switch.
Oh yeah.
Here's another thing. For the Switch, I know some people, they just rock all digital for the Switch. I actually still prefer having my games physically on Switch because of how little storage it has.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because that's like the only modern system where the games don't install if you buy them physically.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, it's kind of wild. You mentioned that, what was it, Control did like stream to the Switch, and there's a few other games that are like that, and it's like, what's the point?
I think it's because they know the hardware is not good enough to play those games, so they
but just
a way to do it.
At that point, you're better off just not putting the game on the console, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have people in rural areas who, they have satellite internet where it's like you get a gigabyte a month and it's $100 or whatever. Like it's terrible. But like it's all they can get because the technology just hasn't really advanced in that department, except for what's it called?
Pappy Elon's satellite source.
Oh, Starlink.
Starlink, yeah. Because Starlink isn't really a big thing yet. Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to that because I think it'll actually help with that a bit. But, for some people, that's not an option, and they get a gift for Christmas. Their parents don't really, they just know their kid has a Switch, and they just know that they want that Resident Evil game that's digital only or whatever. Or I think there's a Resident Evil game.
Online 2 also did it.
That one's a little bit different because it's an MMO. But at the same time, I think it's come out physically elsewhere.
On Switch?
Phantasy Star Online 2 is streamable to Switch.
Oh, it's only streamable. That's weird.
Same with RE7.
That game run on the Vita?
Yeah, that one doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Why doesn't that just run on the Switch?
I don't know. This was before they announced the Phantasy Star Online 2 coming back thing. This was just actually just Phantasy Star Online 2 streamed to Switch.
Weird.
Yeah.
That is fucking weird. I guess the rationale is the Switch can't handle the new graphics. So stream it on Switch and it can run the normal version on the Vita, and then maybe those can Vita support. I don't fucking know.
The other thing is like all those boxes that have nothing in them. Because like it's not, I don't even think it's a cartridge in that case because it's all streamed. So you're basically paying to throw a box out.
Oh, like if you go to the store and you buy the fork knife for Switch or whatever.
Yeah, if you buy fork knife, it's a little bit of a different topic for a different day. But like, yeah, or the streamable only versions of games where you have to buy the box.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? Unless there's like some really cool stuff in the box, you're basically just wasting plastic at that point.
Yeah.
I like me a nice box as much as the next guy, but there's no reason for the box to exist. Just put it on some cardboard.
I do like it when games get a physical release eventually, though.
Yeah, of course, because it saves media.
Yeah.
You're preserving media, and you've made it Scott Pilgrim now. As long as there's a Switch on the planet, you'll be able to play it.
I'm very impatiently tapping my foot at the guys who made Cuphead, because the DLC has been in development since 2018, and I've been waiting to buy it for Switch because it's going to be all-inclusive on a cartridge for a game I like. But they're only going to print the cartridges after the DLC is finished.
It's also why I have a love-hate relationship with limited run games, is that like they're making these games available, but like in a stupid limited quantity, and if you don't get to it fast enough, good luck paying $300 on eBay.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
But like, arguably, it's a double-edged sword, right? They wouldn't
Yeah.
ordinarily have gotten that physical release, and they're like, you know
Yeah.
what? We'll pay you licensing fees. Let us print some physical copies.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship because, like, I understand that otherwise it wouldn't have gotten a physical release. And you mentioned DLC, like, how much DLC is just lost to time?
But like, you know, Dead Rising, right? The zombie franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they have like 3 XBLA fucking sides, like chapters, like prologues for Dead Rising 2? And those are just stuck.
I think
back
so,
there?
yeah.
Yeah,
I know
think
you
they're
can
all
play
just
them
kind of
on
first
Xbone because I've played them on Xbone, but still, like they never got a physical release.
Yeah, they're stuck digital. And at any time, you know, Capcom might decide, yeah, no more.
I also
You don't
can't
get to play
remember
it
the
anymore.
name of Protag of Dead Rising 2, and I keep thinking his name is Frank Castle, but it definitely isn't.
I immediately thought Frank Sinatra.
It's not even Frank.
It's not even
Frank's in
Frank,
the-
it's
Frank's
some
in the
How the
other
fuck
guy.
is it not Frank?
No, it's
Frank's the first one,
yeah, Frank's in the first one.
and in 4. But yeah, no, 2 is some other guy. I played it. I don't know.
Oh
It's
no,
like
you're
Sharks or
right.
something.
Now, guys, it's Franken Castle.
Get the fuck out of here.
Frankincense. With
What
his
the f-
daughter Myrrh.
Yeah, what the fuck is Myrrh?
Been almost a year, we can't figure it out.
Damn.
Is
Where's
it
Matt Pat
that
when
guy
we need
from
him?
Impractical Jokers?
Alright, boys. If you could bring back one game lost to time, what would it be? I'll give you guys a minute to think.
I was gonna say, it kind of just threw us a curveball.
Yeah, there's a curveball. For me, it's Fat Princess. For absolutely no fucking reason. Well, the reason was dwindling player base. Sony just shit canned this fun little team. It's capture the flag game where everyone has like different classes and stuff. Fat Princess was a great time. I loved that game when I was also a kid.
Here's a curveball: the Doom and Wolfenstein RPGs.
Huh.
They were mobile only, to my understanding, and they established a lot of the lore that's still around for both of those series, even though there is no way to currently play them.
Every Satalaview broadcast.
True.
I like how you pick one, like the first 2 responses are like, "Oh yeah, 2 games," and then the next one's like, "Oh yeah, a whole library."
I mean, fuck, there's a lot of ways that could go. Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy game that Telltale made was completely delisted. You can't get it anymore unless you can find the physical copies in stores, which aren't always easy to find.
Wait, excuse me, Telltale made a Guardians game?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Really, they did.
Must have been
then
lost in the
another one
library
has
of the same
been-
engine for 10 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude.
Alpha Protocol is another one. It's hard to find in
Shit.
stores, and it was delisted on like every fucking platform.
I've heard so many fucking things about that game.
It's buggy, and it's got issues, but it's a really, really good RPG, and it's a shame that it didn't get a sequel or fixed. But Sega and a lot of other publishers loved rushing Obsidian to put their games up before they were finished, so that's what happens.
Here's another weird one: the lost levels of Garfield caught in the act.
No, that's not a weird one. That's entirely normal.
That doesn't sound like a game.
You
Yeah,
go to
there
Joe
is a-
Biden or Joe anyone on the street. You go to 17 Joe Bidens on the street, and they'll all tell you, man, the lost levels of Garfield caught in the act are the shit, boss.
If you want to play any of the Grand Theft Auto games that aren't 5 digitally, and I think Grand Theft Auto 5's also been impacted by this a bit, you can't technically play the original versions anymore. Because all the copyright for a bunch of the music has run up now.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
So the games keep getting delisted and relisted with like different soundtracks and stuff because or the soundtrack slowly dwindling away because of copyright. And it doesn't make sense to keep like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of copyrights for games that, you know, sell for like $2. Sometimes in the case of like 3 and Vice City. So sadly, as time goes on, the best way to play those games is, luckily we have the physical version still and we can play those, or if you find the original PC release and you have a DVD drive, play that version. But yeah, that's another good example of why digital isn't necessarily always better.
Actually, I've got another game that was delisted that you might not realize. Dragon Quest XI. The original version with the really pretty graphics was delisted, and they replaced it with the S version that was built for the Switch with the shitty graphics. And that's the only version you can get on every platform now.
That's really surprising.
Even on PlayStation, unless you bought the original, the only one you can get now is the one with the Switch graphics, even though it had gorgeous graphics on PS4.
Huh.
That is actual fucking insanity.
Yeah.
Like, I can see why they do it, because it's like, oh, a new version of the game came out, and it's the definitive edition, but definitive edition is for an inferior console. But who cares?
Yeah.
We'll just port, like, it over.
That'd be like if they
downloaded it on Game Pass and I saw the graphics and was like, what? This is the game I remember. What the fuck happened to it?
That would be like if they went, okay, we have another version of FF15 now, and that's going to be the only version now, and it's the Pocket Edition.
Yeah, literally.
Alright, guys, the only version of Gex Enter the Gecko we can play is the N64 version.
Game Boy
that's
Color
the
version.
first game in the series.
Yeah, it's the first game in the series.
No. Look, I might not have said that it was the second game, but I definitely didn't say it was the first.
God damn it, we're in.
Look, I'm going to rectify my mistakes, but this isn't a digital-only game. Because unlike digital-only games, I actually own all the games in the Gex series. That's a thing that gets overlooked a lot, and I kind of wanted to bring it up before we end up closing, because I imagine that'll happen sooner or later. You don't technically, for the most part, own a digital game. When you buy a game on Steam, you're buying the privilege to play the game. And that's something that, you know, gets overlooked a lot, is that when you buy a disc for a game, you own that game now. You can throw it like a frisbee, you can
Throw it in an otter?
You can throw it in an otter.
Stick your dick in it.
I mean,
Well, I don't know.
if that's your prerogative.
Just me?
But with a lot of games, like with so many digital games that, you know, never got a physical release, there's technically no way to actually own them for realsies unless, you know, they got a GOG release. But even that, you know, unless you have the EXE, there's no guarantee it's sticking around forever. So it's kind of crazy that there are so many games coming out, and same on Xbox Live, same on PlayStation Network, same on name your eShop for Nintendo, same on any app store.
There will be a guy someday that really wants to play all the games in the Patapon series. And like he buys all the games from like his local game store somehow. And there's a sealed copy of Patapon 2, and he opens it up to find a fucking download code.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, because sooner or later the servers gotta go.
Yep.
Because eventually, at the very least, the servers are just gonna wear out, and they're gonna be like, "Look, we're not paying to keep these servers going any longer." It happens.
At what point would the infrastructure be strong enough that potentially multiple generations of consoles could remain on the same servers?
I mean, that already is possible.
That already is possible. The thing is that there's costs related to that, because that takes up space, it takes up resources. So if I want to let's say you want to download a PS3 game.
Yeah.
If that's on the same servers as the PS5 and PS4 games, you're now using up resources that could have been used for the next PS5 game. You know, you've used 10 gigabytes, and the next Call of Duty requires like 10,000 gigabytes.
We're getting there very slowly with their 5
I'm over exaggerating a bit, but that space could be used for other things that make more money.
Yeah.
Man, I just remembered something that we all completely forgot about, and that's Mario 35.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say my dinner in the oven.
Yeah, but that was also physical, and that also got taken away.
No, Mario 35 was
By me!
was the Tetris, was like the Tetris 100 for Mario's 35th anniversary.
I fucking forgot that game even existed.
It was fun.
Yeah,
and now it's
probably
gone.
by the time you wanted to actually play it, it was dead. And by dead, I mean Nintendo willfully killed it.
It had a good 6-month run.
That's
said
that's
nobody
par for the
ever.
course with Nintendo, though. They kind of do shit like that.
Legitimately.
Or
I
Mario
don't understand why it was like not even a fucking year.
or Mario 3D All-Stars, which had no reason to be pulled as a digital download other
Absolute
than
bullshit.
for the sake of exclusivity and the Nintendo Vault.
Absolute bullshit.
Like, that game's now in for scarcity unless you bought it physically or you find a copy physically now, like, you're SOL. I think you can still download it if you bought it already, but it shouldn't be like, this is our own property on our own hardware. It's been 6 months. Yeah, it's good enough. If I wanted, I would have bought it by now.
There is no good reason for it. Except, I guess, FOMO. But, like, to a point, that only helps scalpers.
Yeah. And if they had done it digitally only, like, all that does is make them look like assholes, in my opinion.
Sure.
Like, it is such a bad look, but with a digital title, you can kind of get away with it. Like, it's just the nature of the beast, sadly, and it makes it kind of difficult for me to, like, every time I buy a game, and I'm thinking, man, I'll just get it digitally or something, I have to have that moment of thought, well, what if this game goes away? What if I can't download it at some point? I'm at a point where I've considered, oh man, I should probably get a copy of Hat in Time for Switch, because it's physical. I know that if I want to play the game 10 years from now, and as long as the Switch holds out, I'll be able to play it. Who knows what'll happen with the PC version? I trust Gears for breakfast, and I relatively trust Steam to not screw me over, but it could happen.
You never know.
And like, hey, this game you really enjoy, yeah, you can never play it again. Just,
I mean, games have gotten delisted from Steam before.
yeah, and for probably dumber reasons than just someone felt like it.
Man, I guess this isn't really related to the topic, but fuck, man. Learning today that Little Big Planet 1, 2, and 3 are just, like, kaput over... I mean, genuinely a horrible comment. But,
So,
like...
What was
yeah,
happening
you break it
is
down.
people were finding ways to inject messages into the game that were very hurtful towards people and very disrespectful, very rude, very edgy comments just injected into the game.
Garbage.
And so Sony was like, look, let's pull the servers down for now and figure this out. And then they pretty much immediately said, yeah, no, we're just cutting support for this game for PS3 and PS Vita. And actually, it was Little Big Planet 1, 2, and 3. And they said, look, the levels for the PS3 versions will go over to Little Big Planet 3 PS4. But other than that, like, it's all just left on its own now for those systems. The servers won't be going back up. So the Vita version is dead in the water entirely, and the PS3 versions are not much better. Sure, the levels get to live on, but the games themselves, you know.
Well, can you still access the online levels?
PS4. If you have Little Big Planet 3 on PS4, yeah.
So
But if you had the
have it on PS3, you can't access online levels in the game that was built for online.
Yeah, all about it, yeah.
Like the single player campaign in those games was kind of just, it's there to teach you how to play. You're not really meant to.
It was meant to be a springboard so that you could enjoy online levels more and enjoy the creative process more.
Yeah.
I'm saying that in a really artistic way for what amounted to like a bunch of kids fucking around, but it's true. That game was a lot of my early high school years, and it is really fucking sad to see the state it's in right now.
Cass is
sadly-
just sad that he can't talk to his LBP girlfriend anymore.
That is another story
For
another
another time. I have already talked to you about how Scott Pilgrim cured my homophobia. I am not doing 2 lore bombs in one episode.
The sad thing is just, I'm sure it came down to money. I'm sure it came down to,
Yeah.
why are we going to put resources and people on fixing servers and ensuring the security for servers? And that could be a lot of work. That could be,
Of course.
an infrastructure level issue. Why would we do that for a console that came out in 2006 that, people aren't really buying stuff for anymore? Let's just axe the servers. It'll save us money in the long run. We can put them towards the PS4 server. Or we can find other uses for those servers. Let's just axe it.
Wait, the PS3's 15 years old.
2006, bro.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Time keeps flowing.
Wasn't 2006 like 5 years ago?
Yeah, I know, right?
2000 was 10 years ago, guys, I swear.
Dude,
What are you talking about? It was the 90s.
Was more
10
than
years ago.
half my life ago. Oh my god.
But yeah, wow. Thunder Club, we make you feel old.
Yeah, I know, man. It's I would say it's gonna be a sad day when those PS4 servers inevitably go down, but it's like I got that message at work and I'm like, I can never go back now. I've never wanted to, like, there was a certain point that I didn't want to go back because I realized that the magic of those games, like, I've grown up. I don't really want to spend time going through those levels, and I've just sort of accepted that the ones that I made, I put a lot of stupid work and passion into, and I was ready to just let those go. But like now it's just like, well, now you 100% can't go back. And that's a weird feeling on its own. Like, yeah, I didn't want to, but like now that the option's off the table entirely, yeah, I don't know. It's to say it makes me sad. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's overreacting or what, but it's strange and fuck everyone that did that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they're a bunch of assholes, ruined it for everyone, and frankly, like, I just hate people when they're edgy like that. It's not actually like you're just pissing people off.
Sorry, yeah. I can only assume that the community around that game right now is I don't know, maybe kids playing like older consoles or something, or I can only assume it's still a very young demographic, probably, or people sticking around.
Or like maybe it's a kid and like their family, they might not be able to afford a PS4. Like, it's
Definitely
a real
possible.
thing. Some people, they're just going, paycheck to paycheck, and hey, we can't get a new game console until, the PS5's really taken over. How we get the PS4. Hey, the kid might be their first system is the PS3, even in 2021. That's still a realistic thing. My first system in like the late 90s into 2000 was the NES. It is something that legitimately happens. Either it's a hand-me-down or whatever. Those kids, they just miss out now. They just lose out because some people they decided, I have some extra time off because of the pandemic and I'm going to ruin some other people's days for a quick chuckle.
This took a really sad turn Can we end this on a bright note, gentlemen?
There are probably hundreds of thousands of games that are lost to time because they were just hosted on some website, and that website's long gone.
I've been sitting here for an hour and 17 minutes, and I'm fucking hungry.
But you know what, guys? At least we'll always be able to purchase Skyrim.
Da da da.
Every year, baby. 12,000 copies of Skyrim. Put that shit on my dick right now. Todd, thank you so much for making this game. I love it so much.
You can play it for free through your Alexa.
Dude, I can't believe it, man. I can't believe Skyrim is out.
So you
want to play Skyrim for the 10th time?
You mean try to complete the main story for the 10th time, get distracted, and the game breaks? Yeah.
Like, am I the only one who's actually played main MSQ in Skyrim?
Yeah.
No, I played it.
Okay.
I've tried to so many. We're way off topic now, but yeah, this is a better note. I've tried to complete the main story in Skyrim so many times, and every time I get like halfway through and the game just breaks in some way and I can't complete it.
It was like, I did it on my first playthrough, so there was no trouble for me.
My first playthrough, so for whatever reason, the town of Riften, I couldn't go in there because every time all the guards, no matter like, I didn't have any, I wasn't wanted there, like I wasn't like, I guess I wasn't wanted there, and I definitely wasn't wanted there, if you get what I'm saying. Like, every time I entered the town, I would just get told that I'm going to the jail. Like, it was like, oh yeah, no one escapes into mine. No one. And then they'd just take their weapons out and start attacking me. because they didn't take me to the jail. They just say that they're going to an attack. And that would literally happen repeatedly every time I tried to go into that town. And so I couldn't complete the story.
My legitimate problem with Skyrim is that every time I say, you know what, I'm going to play Skyrim, I'm going to commit to it, I always feel like I'm playing the wrong way. I've already said on this podcast, I want to go lightning in one hand, axe in the other, and dual classing like that is horrible because when your stats are split between two classes, you end up just getting fucked very quickly mid-game. And it's a bad feel.
Yeah, I never had that problem because I used Conjure Weapon.
I never had that problem. Maybe you're just not very good.
Maybe you downloaded Skyrim digitally and you're just worried that Todd's going to take it away from you.
Yeah. No, he'd never do that. He'd always give me a way to give him money.
Yeah, he'd give him an extra Skyrim for free.
For money, you mean?
You're
so
right.
You're finally awake.
Well, Todd has given us Skyrim for free before.
And, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but you know what? I'm going
16 times the detail you gotta pay, man.
I'm gonna just go ahead and awaken the end of this podcast.
Thank you.
I've been Ren, and with me has been Kazanarius.
So, we're trying to cross the border.
Sliv? He's a hungry boy.
Stormcloak, are you?
And the pork chopper.
See you later.
I've been Ren, in case I didn't already say that. I probably have.
You didn't.
Well, I've been Ren. And if you haven't liked this video, give us a like. Maybe consider subscribing, we'd really love it. You can check us out on, we have a Twitter at THNDRCLUB. We also have a Twitch that doesn't get as many releases as Skyrim, that's for sure, but it's at twitch.tv/thunderclub. And thank you guys for watching. See ya all next time.
Deuces.
Cowabunga.
Click the fucking bell icon.